You ever carry a pain so deep it's like a shadow you can't shake, only to find the person who caused it standing in front of you, demanding your ID like you're the one who doesn't belong? That's what happened when the HOA tyrant tried to gatekeep me in my sister's neighborhood. Not knowing I was the judge who just crushed her appeal for running that place like her personal fiefdom, a ruling tied to the loss of my niece that still haunts me. By the time she realized who I was, her kingdom was dust, but it left me wondering if justice should feel this heavy, or if I'd let my grief sharpen the blade too much. My name's Ellen Ramsey, and this is the story of how a quiet afternoon in Pinewood Estates, a gated suburb outside Raleigh, turned into a reckoning that broke a bully, healed a community, and brought my sister's smile back, even if it cost me a piece of my peace. I'd been coming to Pinewood for years, not as a resident but as family, visiting my sister, Beth, in her modest ranch house, helping with groceries, fixing her porch railing, tending the rosebush we planted for her daughter, Sophie, who'd be 14 now if she were still here. Pinewood was the kind of place that looked perfect. White fences, clipped hedges, porches with cheery signs. But under the surface, it was a pressure cooker, ruled by the HOA and its queen, Patricia Vaughn. She'd been president for a decade, wielding bylaws like a scepter, fining folks for wind chimes, banning unapproved flags, even blocking non-white families from renting, all while smiling like she was doing God's work. I knew her type from the courtroom, power-hungry, untouchable in their own minds. But what made her personal was Sophie. For years ago, Beth's girl had a seizure, and the ambulance got stuck at Pinewood's locked gate for 7 agonizing minutes because Patricia refused to open it without verifying the call, citing protocol. By the time they reached Sophie, she was gone, and Patricia never apologized, just doubled down, blaming system errors. That day burned into me, not just as Beth's sister but as a judge who'd sworn to uphold fairness. I kept my visits low-key, slipping in with my beat-up Civic, no robes, no title, just Ellen, the sister who brought coffee and fixed things. But every time I saw Patricia's SUV cruising, clipboard in hand, I felt the weight of Sophie's absence, the sting of a system that let her dodge accountability, until I got her case. It landed on my desk months ago. A lawsuit against Patricia and the HOA for misusing funds, harassing disabled residents, installing illegal cameras, and inventing fines to bully folks. As Judge Ramsey, I heard the evidence. Receipts, testimonies, emails showing her twisting bylaws to silence dissent, and ruled against her, upholding penalties and an audit. Her appeal came next, claiming procedural errors. But it was weak, a last gasp of arrogance. I denied it with 3 gavel strikes, my face stone, knowing she sat there, clueless that the judge was Sophie's aunt. I didn't gloat, didn't linger, just left the courtroom, robes off, and drove to Pinewood that afternoon, jeans and sneakers, ready to help Beth with her garden. I was kneeling in the dirt, planting bulbs by the rosebush, when I heard her heels. Click-clack, sharp as a metronome. "Excuse me," Patricia snapped, sunglasses perched like a tiara, clipboard gleaming. "This is HOA property. ID, please." I stood, brushing soil off my gloves, and met her eyes. "I'm visiting my sister. Beth, just gardening. Is there a problem?" Her chin tilted, smug. Policy 6A. No unregistered persons can work on private lots without supervision. Show me ID, or I'll call enforcement. I fought a laugh, letting silence stretch until she squirmed. "I'll check that policy," I said, voice calm. "You seem real familiar with the rules." She preened, mistaking it for praise, but her eyes narrowed, like she sensed something off. I turned to Beth's door, leaving her fuming, no ID shown, no ground given. Inside, Beth poured coffee, glancing out. "She hassle you?" I sipped, shrugging. "Nothing I can't handle." I didn't tell her about the ruling, didn't want to stir her pain. Not yet. This wasn't about revenge. It was about justice, the kind that blooms slow, like roses in rocky soil. Patricia didn't stop. She couldn't. She doubled down, patrolling Pinewood like a sheriff, slapping citations on trash bins, scolding an old man for a crooked mailbox, fining a couple for a pride flag. I saw it all on my walks, using Beth's guest pass to blend in, snapping photos of her fake finds, her illegal cameras, her rules that choked the place like weeds. She'd built an empire on fear. Residents tiptoed, kids hid bikes, elders flinched at her glare. But I saw cracks, whispers in driveways, eyes meeting mine with quiet defiance. I helped that old man, Mr. Ellis, prop his mailbox, his hands shaky from her scolding. And he didn't ask my name, just thanked me head low. That fear, carved deep, was her real crime, and it fueled me. I didn't confront her, didn't need to. Every photo, every note I took was a thread in a net she didn't see closing. She got bolder, installing more cameras, claiming safety, and sent memos warning of imposters like me, her paranoia growing like mold. One day she stopped me again, clipboard out. You, ID, now or I'm calling enforcement. I smiled, slow, steady. Just visiting, Patricia. Don't worry, I'm not breaking rules. Her lips twitched, sensing a trap but too proud to back off. I walked away, her stare burning my back, knowing she was unraveling, her control slipping with every step I took. At a cafe nearby, I overheard her ranting to her HOA cronies, slamming that biased judge who'd ruled against her, vowing to appeal again, sue the state, anything to win. She didn't see me, didn't know the woman stirring cold tea by the window was the one she cursed. Her blindness was her downfall, and I let it fester, documenting her violations, feeding them to a friend at the Community Oversight Department, sparking an audit she couldn't dodge. The audit hit like a silent storm. State investigators arrived, requesting records, interviewing residents, pulling bylaws apart. Patricia panicked, her memos shrill, her patrols frantic, accusing traitors and agitators. I kept walking Pinewood, noting more. A hidden fire hydrant, a private park fence, fines with no basis. Residents started talking, to me, to each other, about fines for Diwali decor, towed guest cars, banned board minutes. I organized a legal literacy night at the town library, using my middle name, Ellen Marie, no robes, just jeans, teaching folks their rights under HOA law. The room overflowed, people scribbling notes, sharing stories, their fear fading into fire. Patricia tried to shut it down, called it misinformation. But she had no jurisdiction, and the truth was spreading. A local paper ran a story, residents question HOA rule, quoting fed-up neighbors, and the tide turned. At the final HOA meeting, Patricia stood at her podium, voice sharp but shaky, deflecting questions about fines, cameras, funds. When a man asked why his gutters were singled out, she floundered. When a woman challenged her Diwali fines, she snapped. The crowd stirred, grumbles rising, and then the state investigator stepped up, announcing evidence of discriminatory enforcement, fund misuse, code violations. The board's under review, he said, and a no-confidence vote is in process. Patricia's face fell, her knees buckling, and her eyes found me in the back row. She pointed, voice cracking. You've been here stirring trouble. Who are you? I stood, slow, deliberate, and pulled my judge's ID from my coat. I'm Judge Ellen Ramsey, I said, voice clear. The one who denied your appeal 3 months ago. Gasps rippled, her jaw dropped, and the room froze as her arrogance collapsed. I turned to the crowd, calm, steady. You have rights, fair treatment, transparency, a voice. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The vote passed. The board dissolved. Patricia forced out, her venomous final complaint ignored. She moved away, house sold, no goodbye, her empire gone. Not with a bang, but a whisper, the truth too heavy for her lies. Beth and I repainted her porch ramp that week. Deep teal, Sophie's favorite, the sun warm as we worked, her humming a tune I hadn't heard since we were kids. Neighbors waved. A new mom thanked Beth for the audit, saying it inspired her own fight. Kids ran through sprinklers. Flags bloomed on porches. The air lighter, like fear had lifted. At Sophie's grave, I left roses from Beth's bush, whispering, "It's safe now." Feeling peace, not closure, settle in. The state banned Patricia from HOA boards for a decade, fines and lawsuits pending. Justice for Sophie's delay carved in law. Beth hosted a coffee night, pies and laughter filling her yard. A girl with a yellow ribbon chasing bubbles, reminding me of Sophie, joy and grief tangled but soft. Pinewood was home again, not just for Beth but for everyone who'd found their voice. But as I watched that girl run, Patricia's panic, "Someone's watching me," echoed, was exposing her, revealing my role. Enough? Or did I wield my gavel too sharply, letting Sophie's loss cloud my fairness? She's gone. But is she plotting elsewhere? I'm advising other communities now. But should I keep fighting or let this healing hold? That girl's ribbon, bright against the dusk, feels like the win. But is it enough? Or is another gate still locked somewhere? What do you think? Was unmasking Patricia justice? Or too personal? Should I keep pushing? Or trust this piece? Ever faced a bully like her? Drop a comment. Tell me where you're watching, share your stories. Like, subscribe, and let's keep the gates open against the tyrants so you don't have to.